then she's like, she says, after you do, your bashing of people, beating up people, do you go pray? Do you, pray for your sins? And I'm like, girl, do you pray for your sins?
Keep on sinning, grace will overflow.
Hey guys, how you doing? Happy and blessed Tuesday. As you can see, I am out. I am getting some sun, some much needed sun. Oh gosh, this feels so freaking good. It feels absolutely amazing. But I wanted to come on. I wanted to talk to you guys briefly about the books that I am currently reading right now. Some books that I have finished, and I figured this would be a good opportunity to talk to you guys and just give you a little bit of a recap. So at this time, I finished one of the books, and that was Capadonna that I had mentioned in the last video. That was book number 1 that follows Capadonna and Alea. We have met them in Capone, actually, in season number 1. She doesn't name them seasons. The book is by Jack J. She doesn't name them seasons or series. She actually named them seasons. So we're up to season number 2. I don't know if you guys have followed the Delgado series, because that's the actual name of the complete series. But Capadonna has been in jail, but we see in season 2 in the season 1 he gets out of jail, and he's basically trying to, I guess, get his life back in order. I'll give you a little background. So basically the family is into illegal businesses. If I'm not mistaken, it's drugs, but it doesn't really showcase it very much in the books. Like, I don't recall it really being mentioned so much in season number 1. It's not really mentioned much in season number 2. Like, it's kind of like, okay, we know this is how they make their money, but it doesn't necessarily like go deep into that whole world and everything. What we see in book number 1 is that basically Capadonna crosses paths with Alea. Now, he met Alea actually in prison, and Alea is actually married to one of the other prison mates. And he basically is infatuated with her since the Capone series. Like, you know what, this is going to be my wife. This is going to be the woman that I'm going to be with. So we see them start, their relationship and everything. They have such a connection. Capadonna is Muslim. Alea is Muslim as well too. And they pretty much explore their relationship. Alea has a lot going on, guys. When I say a lot going on, just so much trauma from her upbringing to, I guess you could say young adult, until now she's in, I guess you could say early adulthood or adulthood. If I'm not mistaken, Alea is in her maybe mid-20s, I want to say, give or take. And it's just basically a whole tailspin of situations. Now, what I love about this book is that it's not like, it's like suspense, it's passion, it's romance, it's, a combination of different things in this book. And the way that Capadonna expresses how he feels, like, he says in the book, like, I have your left and your right, your front and your back. Like, I think that's the words that he uses. It's kind of like, I will make sure that you are good all the way around. This dude is like big body dude. He, he has a presence and everything. However, the way he loves is just such a beautiful thing. The way he loves his family. And then Alea, going back into her, guys, Alea has my heart. This girl has been through so much trauma, like I have mentioned before. She's just so broken, And when she crosses paths with Capadonna, it's kind of like, okay, can she really let her guard down? You know what I'm saying? Like, her whole life she hasn't been able to trust people. So, what makes him different than all the other people or all the other men that have crossed, I have crossed paths with, and even women. Because the women in her life, not everybody has been the nicest to her. So she's going through that, those feelings and stuff like that, and trying to figure out, what is it, about him that makes him different than everybody else that he, or everybody else that she has encountered. So let's go ahead and get to some of the talking points that I jotted down, because I have my new little book here with my talking points about the book. So just to let you guys know, this series is 5 books. There's 5 books actually in this series. So right now I'm up to book number 2. I'm at about 80%. What we see at the end of book number 1 is that we're actually left with a little bit cliffhanger. I gave you a good summary of what book number 1 is, and then what book number 2 is. We're left with a cliffhanger in book number 1, and then in book number 2 we're basically starting off the next, I guess you could say, life that they're going to have. And what we see is pretty much like book number 1 is setting the foundation, and then book number 2 is building on that foundation. That's one of the next things that I really like about Jacqueline J's books, is that it's not like, okay, you're jumping right into the book and then there's no foundation. Like, she sets a foundation, and it's such a good thing to see. Let's see some of the other talking points. We see a lot of loss in this book as well too. A lot of depth in this book, and how you basically are managing those feelings. There's different characters that we see in the book who are having to, book number 1 and book number 2, who are having to, well, more so book number 2, having to understand how to heal from that trauma and how to get over loss. And one of the next things is, like, in this book too, both of the books, is that even though you are a man, and even though you are, supposed to be, I guess, I don't want to say big and bad, but you're supposed to be strong. Like, that's one of the things that, we hear a lot, especially like in the Black community. But what we see in this book is that even though they're going through loss, like, the men show their grief. When we look back at Capone's series, he showed his grief. Now we in Cappadonna's series, he's shown his grief with his loss, and the other, characters or male characters that we do have in the book. And that's one of the things that I really, really enjoy about the book, is that he even says to Cappadonna, it was like, listen, just because you're a man doesn't mean that you you can't cry. Like, you have emotions, and that's the biggest problem, or one of the biggest problems with men out here, is that they, have this idea that they need to be, strong and mighty, you know what I'm saying? And it's not always going to work out that particular way, and you just have to let go of those particular type of emotions so that you could be able to, kind of like heal, I guess you can say. And it's a really beautiful thing to see, and I think that more men need to understand that, that it is okay. Now, the book that I'm currently reading right now is Where the Wildflowers Grow. Sorry, I said Where the Wildflowers Grow. Where the Wildflowers Grow. Okay, so this is the book here, and this is by Terry Shelton Harris. I'm up to page number 152, and this book has been so freaking beautiful. I didn't know what to expect with contemporary fiction. Like, I like contemporary fiction, but I feel like this is just so different. The yearning and the just how eloquent, Terry writes words. It's just such a beautiful way that she just puts everything together, where it feels like it's not overly wordy, and you really connect to what she's actually saying, and you're able to imagine what she is saying. I just feel like that's such a beautiful thing. So in this book, we have here the characters is Aaliyah and Jax. Okay, and then we do have a kind of a supporting character, which is Walt. Now, I say Leah, but her name is actually Leandra. That was her birth name. She decided that she was going to be changing her name to Leah once she escapes prison. I'm not messing it up for anybody, because that's in the synopsis. Well, not escapes prison. There is a car or bus crash, and she actually is the only one to survive. And in order to, I guess, make it in the world, she changes her name from Leandra to Leah in order to, have a different name, and people just wouldn't know her born or given name. What we see in this book is a lot of trauma. I'm going to be honest with you. This book has so much trauma to some points where I was just kind of like, wow. As a person who has never dealt with anything like that, to read something like that is like, wow. Like, I can't believe this person has actually went through this, and how they're able to come on the other side of those type of feelings and emotions, how they go back to certain moments of their childhood and the memories that they are, being displayed in the stories. Is like, wow, how could this person actually make it through? But basically, like I had mentioned before, she is the only survivor off of a bus that crashed in Alabama. And we see her cross paths with Jax, Jax is the owner of a wildflower farm, or a flower farm. And she basically decides that, in order to basically escape possible, I guess, being recaptured, she is going to go to this place that's unknown, and she's going to stay there. But what we see is kind of her have like this guilt, because she feels like she's bringing her chaos and the things, she's done to him. And we see her kind of like, I guess you could say, grapple. I always get that word a little messed up. We see her have this moment of, darn, do I really want to, put this person in this situation of dealing with my, issues? But we could see at the same time that she wants to, I guess you could say she wants to be wanted. You understand what I'm saying? Like, she wants to be, I don't want to say needed, but she just wants to be cared about. And again, the people that she's crossed paths in her childhood has never really showcased the loving nature for her. And she's just like, I guess you could say, thriving for that. Like, has she experienced certain people who cared? I guess, you could say, like, more so related to one of the characters that is a guard at the prison. But, it took time for her to get to this moment. Whereas with Jax, it's like she's quickly opening up to him. And we see this throughout the book, at least throughout the parts that I'm up to right now. And Jax has his own issues. I mean, things that he's also dealt with in his childhood. In addition to that, it's about bravery. Like, that's one of the things that we, is in the actual headline of the book, is an insightful depiction of the tenacity and bravery it takes to start a healing journey. And that's where I feel like she's at right now. I feel like Leah is at a point of her life where she just wants to heal. At this point, I don't know the reason why she was prison. She is in prison. I won't spoil it for you guys. The reason, the actual wording or the reason why she's in prison, but something does happen and she is there. So, she's, I don't know if it's kind of like, okay, she didn't actually do what people said that she did. We do see some little tidbits throughout the book where she talks about how, I guess, she got away and how she was caught and how she's going to be doing things differently, because we see throughout this book that she's choosing to walk everywhere. She's choosing to be in the woods. Not the whole book or anything, but, I feel like she's doing that in order to go back to her safety net. But then also she's learning on what she did before and then what she's not going to do now, if she chooses to be in the woods. So it's a really good book. It's a really, 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 really good book. I look forward to being able to learn more about Jax, because right now we're really focused on Leah. So I'm hoping that the book is going to explore more of his situation, of things that he has gone through. And I'm not sure if I did mention there is a third character. I think I may have mentioned it before, which is Walt. Walt is pretty much kind of like a father figure to Leah. We see them cross paths in the time that Leah is trying to travel through, I believe she's in Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. So we see them cross paths and have this connection. And, when she looks at Walt, she's like, I wish that this was somebody, a father figure that I had in my life, from the get-go. Like, I'm giving a little bit of a spoiler, but yeah, so she's, wishing that her life could just be different. and she feels like this is going to be her new start. So that is pretty much my whole rundown of the books that I'm currently reading right now, or the books that I have finished. And I'm going to read a little bit of Where the Wildflowers Grow. Hey guys, how you doing? So it is much later on in the evening. Sorry, I'm hitting the table. But I wanted to come on because I'm actually about to start a little bit of reading in a few. But I wanted to come on and let you guys know that I actually finished Capadonna. And guys, when I say that this freaking book is crazy, guys, it is crazy. Like I had mentioned earlier how book number one was laying the foundation. Book number two is basically taking the foundation and just throwing it every freaking where. Because when I say Capadonna, yo, don't mess with that man. If you do not cross paths with him, and what's the crazy thing is that he's not the person to start the trouble. It's the other people who be starting with him. And he be like, all right, you messing with me. I try to, leave you alone. I'm not messing with you, but you wanna come and get in my face, you wanna come and ruffle my feathers, then here you go. This is gonna be my reaction to the situation. And yeah, the book is freaking crazy. But I wanted to go over a couple of things that I think I did not mention earlier when I was talking about the book. So, I'm not sure if I mentioned that he is Muslim, okay? Capadonna actually is Muslim. He became Muslim or the religion back in jail. So he had met a counterpart who basically taught him the ways, and he was discussing how in the book that he wanted to take on this religion because it basically taught him how to have self-control. And I guess more so, I'll be honest with you, self-control in the jail, because I don't know how much self-control he has outside. I mean, I don't know how Capadonna was before he went in jail. We get a little bit of tidbits in the Capone series in series number one, but we never got pre-Capadonna before he went to jail. And based on what I'm gathering, this man was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, because right now he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and some of the things that he is doing, I'm just like, he really didn't do that. No, no, but yeah, he did. He got no problem, showing you out or making you look like a joke. Like he just has no problem doing that. But we see a scene, and I said a scene like we watching a movie. We see a part of the book. Apologize, guys. This is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, where there's a guy that is basically bad mouthing him and using his name, right? He takes his belt off and he whips the guy in the street with the belt, and they're at a block party. Like, who does that? Like, I'm telling you, the man is hilarious. The man is hilarious. He is bat crazy. He is bat crazy. I wanted to talk about Aaliyah as well too. Aaliyah is bat crazy as well. Okay, she's Muslim as well too. Don't let the person religion fool you, because these people are like, I could say butt crazy, but yeah, they're butt crazy. They're like off the rocker crazy, and we know Aaliyah has been dealt with a lot of challenges in her life, but I feel like when she's with Capadonna, it's her strength is like coming back. Like she feels, I I'm trying to find the right word, like resilient, like she could take on more than what she's taken on in her past. And there's another scene in the book. Again, spoiler, I apologize, guys. And this is when I said this girl ain't wrapped too tight. But again, she's been through a lot. So where she's at right now, she ain't doing too bad. See a scene where Capadonna is beating a guy with a bat. Again, another crazy situation. He's beating somebody up, and Capadonna is like, you need to leave my wife alone. And she actually gets excited about Capadonna actually beating the guy. But not beating the guy. Let me correct myself. She gets excited that Capadonna says, "Oh, this is my wife," because they're not actually married yet. And she's like getting all hot and bothered. And I'm just like, girl, this man is actually beating this guy to pulp, okay? And you are getting your rocks off because he tells the guy, "Oh, don't mess with my wife." Like, okay. Okay. And then she's like, she says, after you do, your bashing of people, beating up people, do you go pray? Do you, pray for your sins? And I'm like, girl, do you pray for your sins? Like, are you gonna pray with him? You know what I'm saying? Like, girl, you sit here questioning your man about what he doing. What about you? What you doing? So like I said, the book is pretty cool. Like, I'd say that this book is very shoot 'em up, bang, bang, bang. So if that is not something that is your forte, then this is not for you. Also, their book number one alludes to, SE, fill in the blank, but it doesn't get into that in book number one. Like I said, book number one is the foundation. Book number two, though, gets into some SE and fill in the blank, okay? I'm going to be jumping into book number 2.5. I'm going to be listening to that on audio for this book, and then book number 3, I have to go back to my Kindle because the audiobook is not available on Hoopla. I already checked on Libby, it's not on there, and I'm not paying for Audible, so we're just gonna have to read the book with our eyes and keep it moving. So now let's talk about where the wildflowers sorry where the wildflowers grow, guys. I'm not even at the end, I'm only like a little bit past the middle, right? Guys, if you have not picked up this book, pick it up. This book is, there are so many nuggets of information. Like, I want to read you one of the lines that resonated with me. Okay, let me see if I can find it. All right. And again, guys, I'm sorry if I'm messing this up for you, but this book is so freaking amazing. Basically, we see that the FMC, which is Leah, she is doing meditation, right? So she says she experienced like this out of body kind of feeling when she's doing the meditation. And she's trying to, I guess you could say, not tap into those feelings because those feelings are very difficult for her to deal with. What's got you so rattled? And then she says, "Nothing. I just don't want to do this," I said, standing abruptly. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't fair to direct my frustration at him. The stretching or the meditation? She says, "Both. I didn't sign up for this when I agreed to come work here." And he says, "Sign up for what?" Okay. And then she says, "All the extra work. This has nothing to do with the job." A soft chuckle escaped him. But it does. I don't think it did either when I first got here. But you see, that's all connected. The extra work comes along with it. Along with what? A mirror. So basically, it's saying that you have to basically put in the work. I know I'm using basically like double times. You have to put in the work, and what you are being shown in your life is a mirror. And a lot of times we don't want to face the mirror. We run away. We try to make ourselves so busy with other things in our lives that when we look at ourselves, we don't want to look at ourselves because it's scary to look at ourselves. And that's when we have to acknowledge, the trauma or the things that we've, are causing hardships in our lives. And I this resonates with me because if you guys don't already know, I have I suffer from depression, so we're gonna just talk about it. And when things get very overwhelming, a lot of times I avoid. And I remember when I was in therapy, how my therapist was saying that, like, have you ever really stopped to think about what you've been through and acknowledge? And I think sometimes we're so fearful, again, like I mentioned before, of acknowledging the fear that we just close off. We don't want to be truthful to ourselves. And meditation, I feel like, is a big a tool that really can, how can I say, really open up that window, because you're sitting still. You're not moving. You're not you're forced to think. And again, a lot of times we don't want to think. So I like I said, I found that to be a very interesting part in the book that came up. There's some other parts in the book. Like, I tabbed the book. Like, I'm not sure if you can see my tabs, but I tabbed the book, and there's so many parts in this book that, like, wow, like, this book is absolutely, amazing. It talks about Jackson, his childhood, and things that he's been through. And this is just proof that sometimes on the outside we see a person look, or a certain way, or they have these certain things, and honestly we really don't know who that person is. Like, the book even says, I wish I could find, I know I tabbed it. Okay, here it is. It says, I knew then how Jackson knew me. He saw things I never realized were so visible, because he knew all too well that there was more to a person than what was presented on the surface. That a person is more than hair, eyes, fingers, and skin, the things other people see. He knew to look deeper, even into a stranger, to pay attention to what a person doesn't say or do, to watch. So it was like, you need to actually be present in seeing that person for who they really are. Like, the the mask is only a mask. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you guys, this book, she did her thing. And I'm going to be checking out her other books, because prior to this I've never read anything by Tara. So my apologies, that's my phone. But prior to this, I have never read anything by Tara Shelton Harris, that's her name. But I'm going to be reading her other books, because if they're anything like this, I already know 5 stars. Like, this to me is a 5-star read, like 100% 5-star read. And I'm very happy that I gave it a chance. And I wasn't, like I had mentioned before, I wasn't sure about contemporary fiction, if it will be something that I'm interested in. I mean, I've read a little bit. I mean, like, other contemporary fiction, like Christina Forrest, like, she's more contemporary fiction, but I've never read a big book like this. So I was just like, wasn't sure, but I'm glad that I've allowed myself to tap into this and really enjoyed this. So, but guys, that is going to be the end of this video. I'm gonna pick you guys back up probably on either Saturday or Sunday. I'll come back with my final thoughts about this book in the next video. And then we could pick out our next 3 reads. Well, we already know one of them is going to be Capadonna, but we're going to have to pick out a physical book, and we're going to have to pick out a Kindle book. I am currently right now reading Delirium by Miss Candace, but honestly, guys, I have not picked that book up in a couple of days, because I am trying to read the other 2 books, the Capadonna book, and the Where the Wildflowers Grow. But I'm reading this book as well too. But again, I'm not far into the book. I'm probably up to maybe 10%, say, give or take. So yeah. But we'll probably pick that one up again sometime this weekend as well too, and I'll talk to you guys about that book. All right, guys, so stay blessed out there in those streets. Make sure you treat others kindly. God willing, I will see you guys in the next bookish video, and I hope that you enjoy reading. Oh, let me know because I keep forgetting to mention this in the video. Guys, subscribe, like, share, comment. But let me know what books you are currently reading right now. Now that I'm tapping more and expanding my bookish, I guess ways. I don't know what to call it. Let me know what books you guys are reading. I'm also tapping into contemporary fiction. I mean, sorry, I said contemporary fiction. Duh. I'm trying to tap into fantasy. So I did see one book that I want to get into. Let me see if I can find it real quick. So I heard about this book called Forbidden Alchemy. I saw a video of a young lady talking about this book and she said it's pretty good. So this is fantasy. So, I plan to tap into that fantasy and romantasy. So, I want to get the physical though. So I have to figure out if I'm going to try to get it like on book outlet or if I'm going to go to Amazon or something. I'm not sure yet. All right, guys, I'm done ranting. I'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.
A story, quiet, full of grace. Women of the promise, walking in their place. Not just what they wore, but the faith they